Don't forget to subscribe. Afterwards, the wisest and most spiritual books from the greatest authors await you every day. And now buckle up, sit back and we'll begin. Lao Tzu. The Tao De Jing. Friends, today you will hear one of the wisest books of the past and the present, many claiming that it contains the recipe for perfect happiness, as well as the recipe for perfect government, and even the recipe for true immortality. In fact, this book is even older than the modern Bible and also spawned an entire religion, Taoism, which is still one of the biggest religions on earth today. And perhaps even 2 or 3 religions, and a huge part of Eastern history. Many say that Lao Tzu, the author of this treatise, taught much to Buddha himself, as well as instructed the wise oriental philosopher Confucius, who also later left the world's great religions behind. We also warn that the Tao De Jing is also one of the most complicated and confusing books in world history. This is probably why it is one of the most commented upon books. Indeed, dozens or even hundreds of long commentaries have been written on it, which unfortunately only make it more difficult to understand. So today we present to you 2 of the best and most dissimilar translations of the Tao De Jing without commentary, hoping you have the wisdom to figure it out for yourself. But if not, we will also prepare for you the next times a version of the audiobook with comments. But meanwhile, try to decipher this greatest mystery of the past by yourself. We assure you, it will be even more interesting and useful for your development. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. As nameless it is the origin of all things. As named it is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one sees only the manifestations. And the mystery itself is the doorway to all understanding. Under heaven all can see beauty as beauty, only because there is ugliness. All can know good as good, only because there is evil. Being and non-being produce each other. The difficult is born in the easy. Long is defined by short, the high by the low. Before and after go along with each other. So the sage lives openly with apparent duality and paradoxical unity. The sage can act without effort and teach without words. Nurturing things without possessing them. He works, but not for rewards. He competes, but not for results. When the work is done, it is forgotten. That is why it lasts forever. Putting a value on status will create contentiousness. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. By not displaying what is desirable, you will cause the people's hearts to remain undisturbed. The sage governs by emptying minds and hearts, by weakening ambitions and strengthening bones. Practice not doing. When action is pure and selfless, everything settles into its own perfect place. The Tao is empty but inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Within it, the sharp edges become smooth, the twisted knots loosen. The sun is softened by a cloud, the dust settles into place. It is hidden but always present. I do not know who gave birth to it. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things. Heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his people as straw dogs. The sage is like heaven and earth. To him none are especially dear, nor is there anyone he disfavors. He gives and gives, without condition, offering his treasures to everyone. Between heaven and earth is a space like a bellows, empty and inexhaustible. The more it is used, the more it produces. Hold on to the center. Man was made to sit quietly and find the truth within. The spirit that never dies is called the mysterious feminine. Although she becomes the whole universe, her immaculate purity is never lost. Although she assumes countless forms, her true identity remains intact. The gateway to the mysterious female is called the root of creation. Listen to her voice, hear it echo through creation. Without fail, she reveals her presence. Without fail, she brings us to our own perfection. Although it is invisible, it endures, it will never end. Heaven is eternal, the earth endures. Why do heaven and earth last forever? They do not live for themselves only. This is the secret of their durability. For this reason the sage puts himself last, and so ends up ahead. He stays a witness to life, so he endures. Serve the needs of others, and all your own needs will be fulfilled. Through selfless action, fulfillment is attained. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It flows to low places loathed by all men. Therefore, it is like the Tao. Live in accordance with the nature of things. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. Stand by your word. Govern with equity. Be timely in choosing the right moment. One who lives in accordance with nature does not go against a way of things. He moves in harmony with the present moment, always knowing the truth of just what to do. To keep on filling is not as good as stopping. Overfilled, the cupped hands drip. Better to stop pouring. Sharpen a blade too much and its edge will soon be lost. Fill your house with jade and gold, and it brings insecurity. Puff yourself with honor and pride, and no one can save you from a fall. Retire when the work is done. This is the way of heaven. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one. Can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's? In the opening and shutting of heaven's gate, can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance? Giving birth and nourishing, having, yet not possessing, working, yet not taking credit, leading without controlling or dominating. One who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth. This is the primal virtue. 30 spokes converge upon a single hub. It is on the hole in the center that the use of the cart hinges. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Carve fine doors and windows, but the room is useful in its emptiness. The usefulness of what is depends on what is not. The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 flavors dull the taste. The chase and the hunt craze people's minds. Wasting energy to obtain rare objects only impedes one's growth. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. He prefers what is within to what is without. Favor and disgrace seem alarming. High status greatly afflicts your person. Why are favor and disgrace alarming? Seeking favor is degrading, alarming when it is gotten, alarming when it is lost. Why does high status greatly afflict your person? The reason we have a lot of trouble is that we have selves. If we had no selves, what trouble would we have? Man's true self is eternal, yet he thinks, I am this body, and will soon die. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of the world. That which cannot be seen is called invisible. That which cannot be heard is called inaudible. That which cannot be held is called intangible. These 3 cannot be defined, therefore, they are merged as one. Each of these 3 is subtle for description. By intuition you can see it, hear it, and feel it. Then the unseen, unheard, and untouched are present as one. Its rising brings no dawn, its setting no darkness. It goes on, unnameable, returning into nothingness. Approach it and there is no beginning. Follow it and there is no end. You cannot know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Discovering how things have always been brings one into harmony with the way. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. One can only describe them vaguely by their appearance. Watchful, like men crossing a winter stream. Alert, like men aware of danger. simple as uncarved wood, hollow like caves, yielding like ice about to melt, amorphous like muddy water. But the muddiest water clears as it is stilled, and out of that stillness life arises. He who keeps the Tao does not want to be full, but precisely because he is never full, he can remain like a hidden sprout and does not rush to early ripening. Become totally empty. Let your heart be at peace. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, observe how endings become beginnings. Things flourish, each by each, only to return to the source, to what is, and what is to be. To return to the root is to find peace. To find peace is to fulfill one's destiny. To fulfill one's destiny is to be constant. To know the constant is called insight. Not knowing this cycle leads to eternal disaster. Knowing the constant gives perspective. This perspective is impartial. Impartiality is the highest nobility. The highest nobility is divine. Being divine, you will be at one with the Tao. Being at one with the Tao is eternal. This way is everlasting, not endangered by physical death. With the greatest leader above them, people barely know one exists. Next comes one whom they love and praise. Next comes one whom they fear. Next comes one whom they despise and defy. When a leader trusts no one trusts him. The great leader speaks little. He never speaks carelessly. He works without self-interest and leaves no trace. When all is finished, the people say, "We did it ourselves." When the greatness of the Tao is present, action arises from one's own heart. When the greatness of the Tao is absent, action comes from the rules of kindness and justice. If you need rules to be kind and just, if you act virtuous, this is a sure sign that virtue is absent. Thus we see the great hypocrisy. When kinship falls into discord, piety and rites of devotion arise. When the country falls into chaos, official loyalists will appear, patriotism is born. Give up sainthood, renounce wisdom, and it will be 100 times better for everyone. Throw away morality and justice and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit and there will be no thieves. All of these are outward forms alone. They are not sufficient in themselves. It is more important to see the simplicity, to realize one's true nature, to cast off selfishness and temper desire. Give up learning, and you will be free from all your cares. What is the difference between yes and no? What is the difference between good and evil? Must I fear what others fear? Should I fear desolation when there is abundance? Should I fear darkness when that light is shining everywhere? In spring, some go to the park and climb the terrace, but I alone am drifting, not knowing where I am. Like a newborn babe before it learns to smile, I am alone, without a place to go. Most people have too much, I alone seem to be missing something. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus in its unadulterated simplicity. I am but a guest in this world. While others rush about to get things done, I accept what is offered. I alone seem foolish, earning little, spending less. Other people strive for fame. I avoid the limelight, preferring to be left alone. Indeed, I seem like an idiot. No mind, no worries. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. All men settle down in their grooves. I alone am stubborn and remain outside. But wherein I am most different from others is in knowing to take sustenance from the Great Mother. The greatest virtue is to follow the Tao and the Tao alone. The Tao is elusive and intangible. Although formless and intangible, it gives rise to form. Although vague and elusive, it gives rise to shapes. Although dark and obscure, it is the spirit, the essence, the life breath of all things. Throughout the ages, its name has been preserved in order to recall the beginning of all things. How do I know the ways of all things at the beginning? I look inside myself and see what is within me. The flexible are preserved unbroken. The bent become straight. The empty are filled. The exhausted become renewed. The poor are enriched. The rich are confounded. Therefore the sage embraces the One. Because he doesn't display himself, people can't see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. The old saying, that the flexible are preserved unbroken, is surely right. If you have truly attained wholeness, everything will flock to you. To talk little is natural. Fierce winds do not blow all morning. A downpour of rain does not last a day. Who does this? Heaven and earth. But these are exaggerated, forced effects, and that is why they cannot be sustained. If heaven and earth cannot sustain a forced action, how much less is man able to do? Those who follow the way become one with the way. Those who follow goodness become one with goodness. Those who stray from the way and goodness become one with failure. If you conform to the way, its power flows through you. Your actions become those of nature, your ways those of heaven. Open yourself to the Tao and trust your natural responses, then everything will fall into place. If you stand on tiptoe, you cannot stand firmly. If you take long steps, you cannot walk far. Showing off does not reveal enlightenment. Boasting will not produce accomplishment. He who is self-righteous is not respected. He who brags will not endure. All these ways of acting are odious, distasteful. They are superfluous excesses. They are like a pain in the stomach, a tumor in the body. When walking the path of the Tao, this is the very stuff that must be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. I call it great. Great is boundless. Boundless is eternally flowing, ever flowing. It is constantly returning. Therefore, the way is great, heaven is great, earth is great, people are great. Thus, to know humanity, understand earth. To know earth, understand heaven. To know heaven, understand the way. To know the way, understand the great within yourself. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Realizing this, the successful person is poised and centered in the midst of all activities. Although surrounded by opulence, he is not swayed. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. To be restless is to lose one's self-mastery. A knower of the truth travels without leaving a trace, speaks without causing harm, gives without keeping an account. The door he shuts, though having no lock, cannot be opened. The knot he ties, though using no cord, cannot be undone. Be wise and help all beings impartially, abandoning none. Waste no opportunities. This is called following the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If the teacher is not respected and the student not cared for, confusion will arise, however clever one is. This is the great secret. Know the strength of man, but keep a woman's care. Be a valley under heaven. If you do, the constant virtue will not fade away. One will become like a child again. Know the white, keep to the black, and be the pattern of the world. To be the pattern of the world is to move constantly in the path of virtue without erring a single step, and to return again to the infinite. One who understands splendor while holding to humility acts in accord with eternal power. To be the fountain of the world is to live the abundant life of virtue. When the unformed is formed into objects, its original qualities are lost. If you preserve your original qualities, you can govern anything. Truly, the best governor governs least. Do you think you can take over the universe and improve it? I do not believe it can be done. Everything under heaven is a sacred vessel and cannot be controlled. Trying to control leads to ruin. Trying to grasp, we lose. Allow your life to unfold naturally. know that it too is a vessel of perfection. Just as you breathe in and breathe out, there is a time for being ahead, and a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, and a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous and a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, and a time for being in danger. To the sage, all of life is a movement toward perfection, so what need has he for the excessive, the extravagant, or the extreme? One who would guide a leader of men in the uses of life will warn him against the use of arms for conquest. Weapons often turn upon the wielder. Where armies settle, nature offers nothing but briars and thorns. After a great battle has been fought, the land is cursed, the crops fail, the earth lies stripped of its motherhood. After you have attained your purpose, you must not parade your success, you must not boast of your ability, you must not feel proud, you must rather regret that you had not been able to prevent the war. You must never think of conquering others by force. Whatever strains with force will soon decay. It is not attuned to the way. Not being attuned to the way, its end comes all too soon. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Therefore, followers of the Tao never use them. Arms serve evil. They are the tools of those who oppose wise rule. Use them only as a last resort. For peace and quiet are dearest to the decent man's heart, and to him even a victory is no cause for rejoicing. He who thinks triumph beautiful is one with a will to kill, and one with a will to kill shall never prevail upon the world. It is a good sign when man's higher nature comes forward, a bad sign when his lower nature comes forward. With the slaughter of multitudes, we have grief and sorrow. Every victory is a funeral. When you win a war, you celebrate by mourning. The eternal Tao has no name. Although simple and subtle, no one in the world can master it. If kings and lords could harness them, the 10,000 things would naturally obey. Heaven and earth would rejoice with the dripping of sweet dew. Everyone would live in harmony, not by official decree, but by their own goodness. Once the whole is divided, the parts need names. There are already enough names. Know when to stop. Know when reason sets limits to avoid peril. Rivers and streams are born of the ocean, and all creation is born of the Tao. Just as all water flows back to become the ocean, all creation flows back to become the Tao. One who understands others has knowledge. One who understands himself has wisdom. Mastering others requires force. Mastering the self needs strength. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. One who gives himself to his position surely lives long. One who gives himself to the Tao surely lives forever. The Great Way is universal. It can apply to the left or the right. All beings depend on it for life. Even so, it does not take possession of them. It accomplishes its purpose, but makes no claim for itself. It covers all creatures like the sky, but does not dominate them. All things return to it, as to their home, but it does not lord it over them. Thus, it may be called great. The sage imitates this conduct. By not claiming greatness, the sage achieves greatness. All men will come to him who keeps to the one. They flock to him, and receive no harm. For in him they find peace, security, and happiness. Music and dining are passing pleasures, yet they cause people to stop. How bland and insipid are the things of this world when one compares them to the Tao. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it, there is nothing to hear. When you use it, it cannot be exhausted. Should you want to contain something, you must deliberately let it expand. Should you want to weaken something, you must deliberately let it grow strong. Should you want to eliminate something, you must deliberately allow it to flourish. Should you want to take something away, you must deliberately grant it access. The lesson here is called the wisdom of obscurity. The gentle outlasts the strong. The obscure outlasts the obvious. Fish cannot leave deep waters, and a country's weapons should not be displayed. The Tao does nothing, but leaves nothing undone. If powerful men could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself, in its natural rhythms. When life is simple, pretenses fall away, our essential natures shine through. By not wanting, there is calm, and the world will straighten itself. When there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. A truly good man is not aware of his goodness, and is therefore good. A foolish man tries to be good, and is therefore not good. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The highest virtue is to act without a sense of self. The highest kindness is to give without condition. The highest justice is to see without preference. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. The great master follows his own nature, and not the trappings of life. It is said, he stays with the fruit, and not the fluff. He stays with the firm, and not the flimsy. He stays with the true, and not the false. These things from ancient times arise from one. The sky is whole and clear. The earth is whole and firm. The spirit is whole and full. The 10,000 things are whole, and the country is upright. All these are in virtue of wholeness. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. Therefore, nobility is rooted in humility, loftiness is based on lowliness. This is why noble people refer to themselves as alone, lacking, and unworthy. The pieces of a chariot are useless unless they work in accordance with the whole. A man's life brings nothing unless he lives in accordance with the whole universe. Playing one's part in accordance with the universe is true humility. Truly, too much honor means no honor. It is not wise to shine like jade and resound like stone chimes. Returning is the motion of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. The 10,000 things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. A great scholar hears of the Tao and begins diligent practice. A middling scholar hears of the Tao and retains some and loses some. An inferior scholar hears of the Tao and roars with ridicule. Without that laugh, it would not be the Tao. So there are constructive sayings on this. The way of illumination seems dark. Going forward seems like retreat. The easy way seems hard. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is hidden and nameless. The Tao alone nourishes and brings everything to fulfillment. The Tao gave birth to one. One gave birth to two. Two gave birth to three. And three begat the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things carry yin and embrace yang. They achieve harmony by combining these forces. People suffer at the thought of being without parents, without food, or without worth. Yet this is the very way that kings and lords once described themselves. For one gains by losing, and loses by gaining. What others taught, I teach. The violent do not die a natural death. That is my fundamental teaching. The softest of all things overrides the hardest of all things. That without substance enters where there is no space. Hence I know the value of non-action. Teaching without words, performing without actions, few in the world can grasp it. That is the master's way. Rare indeed are those who obtain the bounty of this world. Which means more to you, you are your renown. Which brings more to you, you are what you own. I say what you gain is more trouble than what you lose. Love is the fruit of sacrifice. Wealth is the fruit of generosity. A contented man is never disappointed. He who knows when to stop is preserved from peril. Only thus can you endure long. The greatest perfection seems imperfect, and yet its use is inexhaustible. The greatest fullness seems empty, and yet its use is endless. Great straightness seems twisted. Great intelligence seems stupid. Great eloquence seems awkward. Great truth seems false. Great discussion seems silent. Activity conquers cold. Inactivity conquers heat. Stillness and tranquility set things in order in the universe. When the world has the way, running horses are retired to till the fields. When the world lacks the way, war horses are bred in the countryside. There is no greater loss than losing the Tao, no greater curse than covetousness, no greater tragedy than discontentment. The worst of faults is wanting more always. Contentment alone is enough. Indeed, the bliss of eternity can be found in your contentment. Without going out the door, know the world. Without looking out the window, you may see the ways of heaven. The farther one goes, the less one knows. Therefore the sage does not venture forth and yet knows, does not look and yet names, does not strive and yet attains completion. Learning consists of daily accumulating. The practice of the Tao consists of daily diminishing, decreasing and decreasing, until doing nothing. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It cannot be gained by interfering. The sage has no fixed mind. He is aware of the needs of others. Those who are good he treats with goodness. Those who are bad he also treats with goodness, because the nature of his being is good. He is kind to the kind. He is also kind to the unkind, because the nature of his being is kindness. He is faithful to the faithful. He is also faithful to the unfaithful. The sage lives in harmony with all below heaven. He sees everything as his own self. He loves everyone as his own child. All people are drawn to him. He behaves like a little child. Between birth and death, 3 and 10 are followers of life, 3 and 10 are followers of death. And men just passing from birth to death also number 3 and 10. Why is this so? Because they clutch to life and cling to this passing world. But there is 1 out of 10, they say, so sure of life that tigers and wild bulls keep clear. Weapons turn from him on the battlefield. Rhinoceroses have no place to horn him. Tigers find no place for claws, and soldiers have no place to thrust their blades. Why is this so? Because he dwells in that place where death cannot enter. Realize your essence and you will witness the end without ending. The way connects all living beings to their source. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. Therefore all beings honor the way and value its virtue. They have not been commanded to worship the Tao and do homage to virtue, but they always do so spontaneously. The Tao gives them life. Virtue nourishes and nurtures them, rears and shelters and protects them. The Tao produces, but does not possess. The Tao gives without expecting. The Tao fosters growth without ruling. This is called hidden virtue. All under heaven have a common beginning. This beginning is the mother of the world. Having known the mother, we may proceed to know her children. Having known the children, we should go back and hold on to the mother. Keep your mouth shut, guard the senses, and life is ever full. Open your mouth, always be busy, and life is beyond hope. Seeing the small is called clarity. Keeping flexible is called strength. Using the shining radiance, you return again to the light and save yourself misfortune. This is called the practice of eternal light. If I have even just a little sense, I should walk in the great way, and my only fear would be straying. The great way is very smooth and straight, and yet the people prefer devious paths. That is why the court is corrupt, the fields lie in waste, the granaries are empty. Dressing magnificently, wearing a sharp sword, stuffing oneself with food and drink, amassing wealth to the extent of not knowing what to do with it, is being like a robber. I say this pomp at the expense of others is like the boasting of thieves after a looting. This is not the Tao. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Generations honor generations endlessly. Cultivated in the self, virtue is realized. Cultivated in the family, virtue overflows. Cultivated in the community, virtue increases. Cultivated in the state, virtue abounds. The Tao is everywhere. It has become everything. To truly see it as it is. In a person, see it as a person. In a family, see it as a family. In a country, see it as a country. In the world, see it as the world. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. Deadly insects will not sting him. Wild beasts will not attack him. Birds of prey will not strike him. Bones are weak, muscles are soft, yet his grasp is firm. He has not experienced the union of man and woman, but is whole. His manhood is strong. He screams all day without becoming hoarse. This is perfect harmony. To know harmony is to know the changeless. To know the changeless is to have insight. Things in harmony with the Tao remain. Things that are forced grow for a while, but then wither away. This is not the Tao, and whatever is against the Tao soon ceases to be. Those who know do not talk. Those who talk do not know. Block all the passages. Close your mouth. Cordon off your senses, blunt your sharpness, untie your knots, soften your glare, settle your dust. This is primal union or the secret embrace. One who knows this secret is not moved by attachment or aversion, swayed by profit or loss, nor touched by honor or disgrace. He is far beyond the cares of men yet comes to hold the dearest place in their hearts. This, therefore, is the highest state of man. If you want to be a great leader, you must learn to follow the Tao. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. How do I know this is so? Because in this world, the greater the restrictions and prohibitions, the more people are impoverished, the more advanced the weapons of state, the darker the nation, the more artful and crafty the plan, the stranger the outcome. The more laws are posted, the more thieves appear. Therefore the sage says, I take no action and people are reformed. I enjoy peace and people become honest. I do nothing and people become rich. If I keep from imposing on people, they become themselves. When the ruler knows his own heart, the people are simple and pure. When he meddles with their lives, they become restless and disturbed. Bad fortune is what good fortune leans on. Good fortune is what bad fortune hides in. Who knows the ultimate end of this process? Is there no norm of right? Yet what is normal soon becomes abnormal. People's confusion is indeed long-standing. Thus the master is content to serve as an example, and not to impose his will. He is pointed, but does not pierce. He straightens but does not disrupt. He illuminates but does not dazzle. In governing people and serving nature, nothing surpasses thrift and moderation. Restraint begins with giving up one's own ideas. This depends on virtue gathered in the past. If there is a good store of virtue, then nothing is impossible. If nothing is impossible, then there are no limits. If a man knows no limits, he is fit to lead. This is the way to be deeply rooted and firmly planted in the Tao, the secret of long life and lasting vision. Governing a large county is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Approach the universe with the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that evil is not powerful, but its power will not be used to harm others. Not only will it not do harm to others, but the sage himself will also be protected. If only the ruler and his people would refrain from harming each other, all the benefits of life would accumulate in the kingdom. A great country is like the lowland, toward which all streams flow. It is the reservoir of all under heaven, the feminine of the world. The female overcomes the male with stillness by lowering herself through her quietness. So if a great country lowers itself before a small one, it wins friendship and trust. And if a small country can lower itself before a great one, it will win over that great country. The one wins by stooping, the other by remaining low. The Tao is the treasure house, the true nature, the secret source of everything. It is the treasure of the good man and the refuge of the bad. If a person seems wicked, do not cast him away. Awaken him with your words, elevate him with your deeds, repay his injury with your kindness. Do not cast him away, cast away his wickedness. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, do not offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Help him to meditate on the principle. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancients make so much of the principle? Is it not because it is the source of all good and the remedy for all evil? It is the most noble thing in the world. Practice non-action. Work without doing. Taste the tasteless. Magnify the small, increase the few. Reward bitterness with care. See simplicity in the complicated. Achieve greatness in little things. Take on difficulties while they are still easy. Do great things while they are still small. The sage does not attempt anything very big and thus achieves greatness. If you agree too easily, you will be little trusted, because the sage always confronts difficulties, he never experiences them. What is at rest is easily managed. What is not yet manifest is easy to prevent. The brittle is easily shattered, the small is easily scattered. See tea before things exist. Manage them before there is disorder. Remember, a tree that fills a man's embrace grows from a seedling. A tower 9 stories high starts with 1 brick. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Act and destroy it, grasp it and lose it. The sage does not act, and so is not defeated. He does not grasp, and therefore does not lose. People usually fail when they are on the verge of success. So give as much care at the end as at the beginning, then there will be no failure. The sage does not treasure what is difficult to attain. He does not collect precious things. He learns not to hold on to ideas. He helps the 10,000 things find their own nature, but does not venture to lead them by the nose. The ancient ones were simple-hearted and blended with the common people. They did not shine forth. They did not rule with cleverness, so the nation was blessed. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know they do not know, people can find their own way. Not using cunning to govern a country is good fortune for the country. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. Why is the seeking of 100 streams? Because it lies below them. Humility gives it its power. Therefore, those desiring a position above others must speak humbly. Those desiring to lead must follow. Thus it is that, when a sage stands above the people, they do not feel the heaviness of his weight, and when he stands in front of the people, they do not feel hurt. The sage stays low, so the world never tires of exalting him. He remains a servant, so the world never tires of making him its king. All the world talks about my Tao with such familiarity, what folly! The Tao is not something found at the marketplace or passed on from father to son. It is not something gained by knowing or lost by forgetting. If the Tao were like this, it would have been lost and forgotten long ago. I have 3 treasures which I hold fast and watch closely. The first is mercy. The second is frugality. The third is humility. From mercy comes courage. From frugality comes generosity. From humility comes leadership. Now if one were bold, but had no mercy, if one were broad, but were not frugal, if one went ahead without humility, one would die. Love vanquishes all attackers, it is impregnable in defense. When heaven wants to protect someone, does it send an army? No, it protects him with love. A good soldier is not violent. A good fighter is not angry. Good winners do not contend. Good employers serve their workers. The best leader follows the will of the people. All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. This is called the virtue of non-contending. This is called employing the powers of others. This since ancient times has been known as the ultimate unity with heaven. There is a saying among soldiers, "I dare not make the first move, but would rather play the guest. I dare not advance an inch, but would rather withdraw a foot." This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There is no greater misfortune than feeling I have an enemy, for when I and enemy exist together, there is no room left for my treasure. Thus, when two opponents meet, the one without an enemy will surely triumph. When armies are evenly matched, the one with compassion wins. My teachings are very easy to understand and very easy to practice, yet so few in this world understand, and so few are able to practice. My words have an ancestor, my deeds have a lord. The people have no knowledge of this, therefore they have no knowledge of me. This is why the sage dresses plainly, even though his interior is filled with precious gems. Knowing ignorance is strength. Ignoring knowledge is sickness. Only when we are sick of our sickness shall we cease to be sick. The sage is not sick, but is sick of sickness. This is the secret of health. When people lack a sense of awe, there will be disaster. When people do not fear worldly power, a greater power will arrive. Do not limit the view of yourself. Do not despise the conditions of your birth. Do not resist the natural course of your life. In this way you will never weary of this world. Therefore, the sage knows himself, but makes no show of himself, loves himself but does not exalt himself. He prefers what is within to what is without. Bold action against others leads to death. Bold action in harmony with the Tao leads to life. Both of these things sometimes benefit and sometimes injure. It is heaven's way to conquer without striving. It does not speak, yet it is answered. It does not ask, yet it is supplied with all that it needs. It does not hurry, yet it completes everything on time. The net of heaven catches all. Its mesh is coarse, but nothing slips through. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. There is always a Lord of Death. He who takes the place of the Lord of Death is like one who cuts with the blade of a master carpenter. Whoever cuts with the blade of a master carpenter is sure to cut his own hands. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them, leave them alone. A man is born gentle and weak. At his death he is hard and stiff. All things, including the grass and trees, are soft and pliable in life, dry and brittle in death. Stiffness is thus a companion of death, flexibility a companion of life. An army that cannot yield will be defeated. A tree that cannot bend will crack in the wind. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. The way of heaven is like drawing a bow. The high is lowered, the low is raised. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. The Tao of mankind is the opposite. It reduces the deficiency in order to add to the surplus. It strips the needy to serve those who have too much. Only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others. What man has more than enough and gives it to the world? Only the man of the Tao. The master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. He acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and does not think that he is better than anyone else. Nothing in the world is softer and weaker than water. But for attacking the hard, the unyielding, nothing can surpass it. There is nothing like it. The weak overcomes the strong. The soft surpasses the hard. In all the world, there is no one who does not know this, but no one can master the practice. Therefore the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart. Because he has given up helping, he is people's greatest help. True words appear paradoxical. After a bitter quarrel, some resentment remains. What can one do about it? Being content with what you have is always best in the end. Someone must risk returning injury with kindness, or hostility will never turn to goodwill. So the wise always give without expecting gratitude. One with true virtue always seeks a way to give. One who lacks true virtue always seeks a way to get. To the giver comes the fullness of life, to the taker, just an empty hand. Imagine a small country with few people. They have weapons and do not employ them. They enjoy the labor of their hands and do not waste time inventing labor-saving machines. They take death seriously and do not travel far. Since they dearly love their homes, they are not interested in travel. Although they have boats and carriages, no one uses them. They are content with healthy food, pleased with useful clothing, satisfied in snug homes, and protective of their way of life. Although they live within sight of their neighbors, and crowing cocks and barking dogs can be heard across the way, they leave each other in peace while they grow old and die. True words are not beautiful, beautiful words are not true. Good men do not argue, those who argue are not good. Those who have virtue do not look for faults, those who look for faults have no virtue. Sages do not accumulate anything but give everything to others, having more, the more they give. Heaven does good to all, doing no evil to anyone. The sage imitates it, acting for the good of all, and opposing himself to no one. The Tao De Jing, translation number 2. The way that can be experienced is not true. The world that can be constructed is not true. The way manifests all that happens and may happen. The world represents all that exists and may exist. To experience without intention is to sense the world. To experience with intention is to anticipate the world. These two experiences are indistinguishable. Their construction differs, but their effect is the same. Beyond the gate of experience flows the way, which is ever greater and more subtle than the world. When beauty is abstracted, then ugliness has been implied. When good is abstracted, then evil has been implied. So alive and dead are abstracted from nature, difficult and easy abstracted from progress, long and short abstracted from contrast, high and low abstracted from depth, song and speech abstracted from melody, after and before abstracted from sequence. The sage experiences without abstraction and accomplishes without action. He accepts the ebb and flow of things, nurtures them, but does not own them, and lives, but does not dwell. Not praising the worthy prevents contention. Not esteeming the valuable prevents theft. Not displaying the beautiful prevents desire. In this manner the sage governs people, emptying their minds, filling their bellies, weakening their ambitions, and strengthening their bones. If people lack knowledge and desire, then they cannot act. If no action is taken, harmony remains. The way is a limitless vessel, used by the self. It is not filled by the world. It cannot be cut, knotted, dimmed, or stilled. Its depths are hidden, ubiquitous and eternal. I don't know where it comes from. It comes before nature. Nature is not kind. It treats all things impartially. The sage is not kind and treats all people impartially. Nature is like a bellows, empty, yet never ceasing its supply. The more it moves, the more it yields. So the sage draws upon experience and cannot be exhausted. Experience is a riverbed, its source hidden, forever flowing, its entrance, the root of the world, the way moves within it, draw upon it, it will not run dry. Nature is complete, because it does not serve itself. The sage places himself after and finds himself before, ignores his desire and finds himself content. He is complete because he does not serve himself. The best of man is like water, which benefits all things and does not contend with them, which flows in places that others disdain, where it is in harmony with the way. So the sage lives within nature, thinks within the deep, gives within impartiality, speaks within trust, governs within order, crafts within ability, acts within opportunity. He does not contend, and none contend against him. Fill a cup to its brim, and it is easily spilled. Temper a sword to its hardest, and it is easily broken. Amass the greatest treasure, and it is easily stolen. Claim credit and honor, and you easily fall. Retire once your purpose is achieved. This is natural. Embracing the way, you become embraced. Breathing gently, you become newborn. Clearing your mind, you become clear. Nurturing your children, you become impartial. Opening your heart, you become accepted. Accepting the world, you embrace the way. Bearing and nurturing, creating but not owning, giving without demanding. This is harmony. 30 spokes meet at a nave. Because of the hole we may use the wheel. Clay is molded into a vessel. Because of the hollow we may use the cup. Walls are built around the hearth. Because of the doors we may use the house. Thus tools come from what exists, but use from what does not. Too much color blinds the eye. Too much music deafens the ear. Too much taste dulls the palate. Too much play maddens the mind. Too much desire tears the heart. In this manner the sage cares for people. He provides for the belly, not for the senses. He ignores abstraction and holds fast to substance. Both praise and blame cause concern, for they bring people hope and fear. The object of hope and fear is the self, for, without self, to whom may fortune and disaster occur. Therefore, who distinguishes himself from the world, may be given the world, but who regards himself as the world may accept the world. Looked at but cannot be seen, it is beneath form. Listened to but cannot be heard, it is beneath sound. Held but cannot be touched, it is beneath feeling. These depthless things evade definition and blend into a single mystery. In its rising there is no light, in its falling there is no darkness, a continuous thread beyond description, lining what cannot occur. Its form formless, its image nothing, its name silence. Follow it, it has no back. Meet it, it has no face. Attend the present to deal with the past. Thus you grasp the continuity of the way, which is its essence. The enlightened possess understanding so profound they cannot be understood. Because they cannot be understood, I can only describe their appearance. Cautious as one crossing thin ice, undecided as one surrounded by danger, modest as one who is a guest, unbounded as melting ice, genuine as unshaped wood, broad as a valley, seamless as muddy water. Who stills the water, that the mud may settle, who seeks to stop, that he may travel on, who desires less than may transpire, decays, but will not renew. Empty the self completely, embrace perfect peace. The world will rise and move, watch it return to rest. All the flourishing things will return to their source. This return is peaceful, it is the flow of nature, an eternal decay and renewal. Accepting this brings enlightenment, ignoring this brings misery. Who accepts nature's flow becomes all-cherishing. Being all-cherishing, he becomes impartial. Being impartial, he becomes magnanimous. Being magnanimous, he becomes natural. Being natural, he becomes one with the way. Being one with the way, he becomes immortal. Though his body will decay, the way will not. The best rulers are scarcely known by their subjects. The next best are loved and praised. The next are feared. The next despised. They have no faith in their people, and their people become unfaithful to them. When the best rulers achieve their purpose, their subjects claim the achievement as their own. When the way is forgotten, duty and justice appear. Then knowledge and wisdom are born along with hypocrisy. When harmonious relationships dissolve, then respect and devotion arise. When a nation falls to chaos, then loyalty and patriotism are born. If we could abolish knowledge and wisdom, then people would profit 100-fold. If we could abolish duty and justice, then harmonious relationships would form. If we could abolish artifice and profit, then waste and theft would disappear. Yet such remedies treat only symptoms, and so they are inadequate. People need personal remedies. Reveal your naked self and embrace your original nature. Bind your self-interest and control your ambition. Forget your habits and simplify your affairs. What is the difference between assent and denial? What is the difference between beautiful and ugly? What is the difference between fearsome and afraid? The people are merry, as if at a magnificent party or playing in the park at springtime, but I am tranquil and wandering, like a newborn before it learns to smile, alone, with no true home. The people have enough and to spare, where I have nothing, and my heart is foolish, muddled and cloudy. The people are bright and certain, where I am dim and confused. The people are clever and wise, where I am dull and ignorant, aimless as a wave drifting over the sea, attached to nothing. The people are busy with purpose, where I am impractical and rough. I do not share the people's cares, but I am fed at nature's breast. Harmony is only in following the way. The way is without form or quality, but expresses all forms and qualities. The way is hidden and implicate, but expresses all of nature. The way is unchanging, but expresses all motion. Beneath sensation and memory, the way is the source of all the world. How can I understand the source of the world? By accepting. Accept and you become whole, bend and you straighten, empty and you fill, decay and you renew, want and you acquire, fulfill and you become confused. The sage accepts the world as the world accepts the way. He does not display himself, so is clearly seen, does not justify himself, so is recognized, does not boast, so is credited, does not pride himself, so endures, does not contend, so none contend against him. The ancients said, accept and you become whole. Once whole, the world is as your home. Nature says only a few words. High wind does not last long, nor does heavy rain. If nature's words do not last, why should those of man? Who accepts harmony becomes harmonious. Who accepts loss becomes lost. For who accepts harmony, the way harmonizes with him, and who accepts loss, the way cannot find. Straighten yourself and you will not stand steady. Display yourself and you will not be clearly seen. Justify yourself and you will not be respected. Promote yourself and you will not be believed. Pride yourself and you will not endure. These behaviors are wasteful, indulgent, and so they attract disfavor. Harmony avoids them. There is a mystery beneath abstraction, silent, depthless, alone, unchanging, ubiquitous and liquid, the mother of nature. It has no name, but I call it the way. It has no limit, but I call it limitless. Being limitless, it flows away forever. Flowing away forever, it returns to myself. The way is limitless, so nature is limitless, so the world is limitless, and so I am limitless. For I am abstracted from the world from nature, nature from the way, and the way from what is beneath abstraction. Gravity is the source of lightness, calm, the master of haste. A lone traveler will journey all day, watching over his belongings, yet once safe in his bed he will lose them in sleep. The captain of a great vessel will not act lightly or hastily. Acting lightly, he loses sight of the world. Acting hastily, he loses control of himself. A captain cannot treat his great ship as a small boat. Rather than glitter like jade, he must stand like stone. The perfect traveler leaves no trail to be followed. The perfect speaker leaves no question to be answered. The perfect accountant leaves no working to be completed. The perfect container leaves no lock to be closed. The perfect knot leaves no end to be raveled. So the sage nurtures all men and abandons no one. He accepts everything and rejects nothing. He attends to the smallest details. So the strong must guide the weak, for the weak are raw material to the strong. If the guide is not respected, or the material is not cared for, confusion will result, no matter how clever one is. This is the secret of perfection. When raw wood is carved, it becomes a tool. When a man is employed, he becomes a tool. The perfect carpenter leaves no wood to be carved. Using the male, being female, being the entrance of the world, you embrace harmony and become as a newborn. Using strength, being weak, being the root of the world, you complete harmony and become as unshaped wood. Using the light, being dark, being the world, you perfect harmony and return to the way. Those who wish to change the world according with their desire cannot succeed. The world is shaped by the way. It cannot be shaped by the self. Trying to change it, you damage it. Trying to possess it, you lose it. So some will lead, while others follow. Some will be warm, others cold. Some will be strong, others weak. Some will get where they are going, while others fall by the side of the road. So the sage will be neither wasteful nor violent. Powerful men are well advised not to use violence, for violence has a habit of returning. Thorns and weeds grow wherever an army goes, and lean years follow a great war. A general is well advised to achieve nothing more than his orders, not to take advantage of his victory, nor to glory, boast or pride himself, to do what is dictated by necessity, but not by choice. For even the strongest force will weaken with time, and then its violence will return and kill it. Armies are tools of violence. They cause men to hate and fear. The sage will not join them. His purpose is creation. Their purpose is destruction. Weapons are tools of violence, not of the sage. He uses them only when there is no choice, and then calmly, and with tact, for he finds no beauty in them. Whoever finds beauty in weapons delights in the slaughter of men, and who delights in slaughter cannot content himself with peace. So slaughters must be mourned, and conquests celebrated with a funeral. The way has no true shape, and therefore none can control it. If a ruler could control the way, all things would follow in harmony with his desire, and sweet rain would fall, effortlessly slaking every thirst. The way is shaped by use, but then the shape is lost. Do not hold fast to shapes, but let sensation flow into the world as a river courses down to the sea. Who understands the world is learned. Who understands the self is enlightened. Who conquers the world has strength. Who conquers the self has harmony. Who is determined has purpose. Who is contented has wealth. Who defends his home may long endure. Who surrenders his home may long survive it. The way flows and ebbs, creating and destroying, implementing all the world, attending to the tiniest details, claiming nothing in return. It nurtures all things, though it does not control them. It has no intention, so it seems inconsequential. It is the substance of all things, though it does not control them. It has no exception, so it seems all important. The sage would not control the world. He is in harmony with the world. If you offer music and food, strangers may stop with you. But if you accord with the way, all the people of the world will keep you in safety, health, community, and peace. The way lacks art and flavor. It can neither be seen nor heard, but its benefit cannot be exhausted. To reduce someone's influence, first expand it. To reduce someone's force, first increase it. To overthrow someone, first exalt them. To take from someone, first give to them. This is the subtlety by which the weak overcome the strong. Fish should not leave their depths, and swords should not leave their scabbards. The way takes no action, but leaves nothing undone. When you accept this, the world will flourish in harmony with nature. Nature does not possess desire. Without desire, the heart becomes quiet. In this manner the whole world is made tranquil. Well-established hierarchies are not easily uprooted. Closely held beliefs are not easily released, so ritual enthralls generation after generation. Harmony does not care for harmony, and so is naturally attained, but ritual is intent upon harmony, and so cannot attain it. Harmony neither acts nor reasons. Love acts, but without reason. Justice acts to serve reason, but ritual acts to enforce reason. When the way is lost, there remains harmony. When harmony is lost, there remains love. When love is lost, there remains justice. But when justice is lost, there remains ritual. Ritual is the end of compassion and honesty, the beginning of confusion. Belief is a colorful hope or fear, the beginning of folly. The sage goes by harmony, not by hope. He dwells in the fruit, not the flower. He accepts substance and ignores abstraction. In mythical times all things were whole, all the sky was clear, all the earth was stable, all the mountains were firm, all the riverbeds were full, all of nature was fertile, and all the rulers were supported. But, losing clarity, the sky tore, losing stability, the earth split, losing strength, the mountains sank, losing water, the riverbeds cracked, losing fertility, nature disappeared, and losing support, the rulers fell. Rulers depend upon their subjects, the noble depend upon the humble, so rulers call themselves orphaned, hungry and alone, to win the people's support. The motion of the way is to return, the use of the way is to accept. All things come from the way, and the way comes from nothing. When the great man learns the way, he follows it with diligence. When the common man learns the way, he follows it on occasion. When the mean man learns the way, he laughs out loud. Those who do not laugh do not learn at all. Therefore it is said, who understands the way seems foolish, who progresses on the way seems to fail, who follows the way seems to wander. For the finest harmony appears plain, the brightest truth appears colored, the richest character appears incomplete, the bravest heart appears meek, the simplest nature appears inconstant. The square, perfected, has no corner. Music, perfected, has no melody. Love, perfected, has no climax. Art, perfected, has no meaning. The way can be neither sensed nor known. It transmits sensation and transcends knowledge. The way bears sensation, sensation bears memory, sensation and memory bear abstraction, and abstraction bears all the world. Each thing in the world bears feeling and doing, and, imbued with mind, harmony with the way. As others have taught, so do I teach. Who loses harmony opposes nature. This is the root of my teaching. Water overcomes the stone. Without substance it requires no opening. This is the benefit of taking no action. Yet benefit without action, and experience without abstraction, are practiced by very few. Health or reputation, which is held dearer? Health or possessions, which has more worth? Profit or loss, which is more troublesome? Great love incurs great expense, and great riches incur great fear, but contentment comes at no cost. Who knows when to stop does not continue into danger, and so may long endure. Great perfection seems incomplete, but does not decay. Great abundance seems empty, but does not fail. Great truth seems contradictory. Great cleverness seems stupid. Great eloquence seems awkward. As spring overcomes the cold, and autumn overcomes the heat, so calm and quiet overcome the world. When a nation follows the way, horses bear manure through its fields. When a nation ignores the way, horses bear soldiers through its streets. There is no greater mistake than following desire. There is no greater disaster than forgetting contentment. There is no greater sickness than seeking attainment. But one who is content to satisfy his needs finds that contentment endures. Without taking a step outdoors you know the whole world. Without taking a peep out the window you know the color of the sky. The more you experience, the less you know. The sage wanders without knowing, sees without looking, accomplishes without acting. The follower of knowledge learns as much as he can every day. The follower of the way forgets as much as he can every day. By attrition he reaches a state of inaction wherein he does nothing, but nothing remains undone. To conquer the world, accomplish nothing. If you must accomplish something, the world remains beyond conquest. The sage does not distinguish between himself and the world. The needs of other people are as his own. He is good to those who are good. He is also good to those who are not good, thereby he is good. He trusts those who are trustworthy. He also trusts those who are not trustworthy, thereby he is trustworthy. The sage lives in harmony with the world, and his mind is the world's mind. So he nurtures the worlds of others as a mother does her children. Men flow into life and ebb into death. Some are filled with life, some are empty with death, some hold fast to life and thereby perish, for life is an abstraction. Those who are filled with life need not fear tigers and rhinos in the wilds, nor wear armor and shields in battle. The rhinoceros finds no place in them for its horn, the tiger no place for its claw, the soldier no place for a weapon, for death finds no place in them. The way bears all things, harmony nurtures them, nature shapes them, use completes them. Each follows the way and honors harmony, not by law, but by being. The way bears, nurtures, shapes, completes, shelters, comforts, and makes a home for them. Bearing without possessing, nurturing without taming, shaping without forcing, this is harmony. The origin of the world is its mother. Understand the mother, and you understand the child. Embrace the child, and you embrace the mother, who will not perish when you die. Reserve your judgments and words and you maintain your influence. Speak your mind and take positions, and nothing can save you. As observing detail is clarity, so maintaining flexibility is strength. Use the light, but shed no light, so that you do yourself no harm, but embrace clarity. With but a small understanding one may follow the way like a main road, fearing only to leave it. Following a main road is easy, yet people delight in difficult paths. When palaces are kept up, fields are left to weeds and granaries empty. Wearing fine clothes, bearing sharp swords, glutting with food and drink, hoarding wealth and possessions, these are the ways of theft, and far from the way. Cultivate harmony within yourself, and harmony becomes real. Cultivate harmony within your family, and harmony becomes fertile. Cultivate harmony within your community, and harmony becomes abundant. Cultivate harmony within your culture, and harmony becomes enduring. Cultivate harmony within the world, and harmony becomes ubiquitous. Live with a person to understand that person. Live with a family to understand that family. Live with a community to understand that community. Live with a culture to understand that culture. Live with the world to understand the world. How can I live with the world? By accepting. Who is filled with harmony is like a newborn. Wasps and snakes will not bite him. Hawks and tigers will not claw him. His bones are soft, yet his grasp is sure, for his flesh is supple. His mind is innocent, yet his body is virile, for his vigor is plentiful. His song is long-lasting, yet his voice is sweet, for his grace is perfect. But knowing harmony creates abstraction, and following abstraction creates ritual. Exceeding nature creates calamity, and controlling nature creates violence. Who understands does not preach, who preaches does not understand. Reserve your judgments and words, smooth differences and forgive disagreements. Dull your wit, and simplify your purpose. Accept the world. Then, friendship and enmity, profit and loss, honor and disgrace, will not affect you. The world will accept you. Do not control the people with laws, nor violence nor espionage, but conquer them with inaction. For, the more morals and taboos there are, the more cruelty afflicts people. The more guns and knives there are, the more factions divide people. The more arts and skills there are, The more change obsoletes people. The more laws and taxes there are, the more theft corrupts people. Yet take no action, and the people nurture each other. Make no laws, and the people deal fairly with each other. Own no interest, and the people cooperate with each other. Express no desire, and the people harmonize with each other. When government is lazy and informal, the people are kind and honest. When government is efficient and severe, the people are discontented and deceitful. Good fortune follows upon disaster. Disaster lurks within good fortune. Who can say how things will end? Perhaps there is no end. Honesty is ever deceived. Kindness is ever seduced. Men have been like this for a long time. So the sage is firm but not cutting, pointed but not piercing, straight but not rigid, bright but not blinding. Manage a great nation as you would cook a delicate fish. To govern men in accord with nature, it is best to be restrained. Restraint makes agreement easy to attain. An easy agreement builds harmonious relationships. With sufficient harmony, no resistance will arise. When no resistance arises, then you possess the heart of the nation. And when you possess the nation's heart, your influence will long endure, deeply rooted and firmly established. This is the method of far sight and long life. When you use the way to conquer the world, your demons will lose their power to harm. It is not that they lose their power as such, but that they will not harm others. Because they will not harm others, you will not harm others. When neither you nor your demons can do harm, you will be at peace with them. A nation is like a hierarchy, a marketplace, and a maiden. A maiden wins her husband by submitting to his advances. Submission is a means of union. So when a large country submits to a small country, it will adopt the small country. When a small country submits to a large country, it will be adopted by the large country. The one submits and adopts. The other submits and is adopted. It is in the interest of a large country to unite and gain service, and in the interest of a small country to unite and gain patronage. If both would serve their interests, both must submit. The way is the fate of men, the treasure of the saint, and the refuge of the sinner. Fine words are often borrowed, and great deeds are often appropriated. Therefore, when a man falls, do not abandon him, and when a man gains power, do not honor him. Only remain impartial, and show him the way. Why should someone appreciate the way? The ancients said, by it, those who seek may easily find, and those who regret may easily absolve. So it is the most precious gift. Practice no action. Attend to do nothing. Taste the flavorless, magnify the small, multiply the few, return love for hate. Deal with the difficult while it is yet easy. Deal with the great while it is yet small. The difficult develops naturally from the easy, and the great from the small. So the sage, by dealing with the small, achieves the great. Who finds it easy to promise finds it hard to be trusted. Who takes things lightly finds things difficult. The sage recognizes difficulty, and so has none. What lies still is easy to grasp. What lies far off is easy to anticipate. What is brittle is easy to shatter. What is small is easy to disperse. Yet a tree broader than a man can embrace is born of a tiny shoot. A dam greater than a river can overflow starts with a clod of earth. A journey of 1,000 miles begins at the spot under one's feet. Therefore, deal with things before they happen. Create order before there is confusion. He who acts, spoils. He who grasps, loses. People often fail on the verge of success. Take care at the end, as at the beginning, so that you may avoid failure. The sage desires no desire, values no value, learns no learning, and returns to the places that people have forgotten. He would help all people to become natural, but then he would not be natural. The ancients did not seek to rule people with knowledge, but to help them become natural. It is difficult for knowledgeable people to become natural, so to use law to control a nation weakens the nation, but to use nature to control a nation strengthens the nation. Understanding these two paths is understanding subtlety. Subtlety runs deep, ranges wide, resolves confusion and preserves peace. The river carves out the valley by flowing beneath it. Thereby the river is the master of the valley. In order to master people, one must speak as their servant. In order to lead people, one must follow them. So when the sage rises above the people, they do not feel oppressed, and when the sage stands before the people, they do not feel hindered. So the popularity of the sage does not fail, he does not contend, and no one contends against him. All the world says, I am important, I am separate from all the world. I am important because I am separate. Were I the same, I could never be important. Yet here are three treasures that I cherish and commend to you. The first is compassion, by which one finds courage. The second is restraint, by which one finds strength. And the third is unimportance, by which one finds influence. Those who are fearless, but without compassion, powerful, but without restraint, are influential, yet important, cannot endure. Compassion is the finest weapon and best defense. If you would establish harmony, compassion must surround you like a fortress. Therefore, a good soldier does not inspire fear, a good fighter does not display aggression, a good conqueror does not engage in battle, a good leader does not exercise authority. This is the value of unimportance. This is how to win the cooperation of others. This to how to build the same harmony that is in nature. There is a saying among soldiers, it is easier to lose a yard than take an inch. In this manner one may deploy troops without marshalling them, bring weapons to bear without exposing them, engage the foe without invading them, and exhaust their strength without fighting them. There is no worse disaster than misunderstanding your enemy. To do so endangers all of my treasures. So when two well-matched forces oppose each other, the general who maintains compassion will win. My words are easy to understand, and my actions are easy to perform, yet no other can understand or perform them. My words have meaning, my actions have reason, yet these cannot be known, and I cannot be known. We are each unique, and therefore valuable. Though the sage wears coarse clothes, his heart is jade. Who recognizes his limitations is healthy, who ignores his limitations is sick. The sage recognizes the sickness as a limitation, and so becomes immune. When people have nothing more to lose, then revolution will result. Do not take away their lands, and do not destroy their livelihoods. If your burden is not heavy, then they will not shirk it. The sage maintains himself, but exacts no tribute, values himself but requires no honors. He ignores abstraction and accepts substance. Who is brave and bold will perish, who is brave and subtle will benefit. The subtle profit where the bold perish, for fate does not honor daring, and even the sage dares not tempt fate. Fate does not attack, yet all things are conquered by it. It does not ask, yet all things answer to it. It does not call, yet all things meet it. It does not plan, yet all things are determined by it. Fate's net is vast, and its mesh is coarse, yet none escape it. If people were not afraid of death, then what would be the use of an executioner? If people were only afraid of death, and you executed everyone who did not obey, no one would dare to disobey you. Then what would be the use of an executioner? People fear death, because death is an instrument of fate. When people are killed by execution, rather than by fate, this is like carving wood in the place of a carpenter. Those who carve wood in place of a carpenter often injure their hands. When rulers take grain, so that they may feast, their people become hungry. When rulers take action to serve their own interests, their people become rebellious. When rulers take lives so that their own lives are maintained, their people no longer fear death. When people act without regard for their own lives, they overcome those who value only their own lives. A newborn is soft and tender, a crone, hard and stiff. Plants and animals, in life, are supple and succulent, in death, withered and dry. So softness and tenderness are attributes of life, and hardness and stiffness, attributes of death. Just as a sapless tree will split and decay, so an inflexible force will meet defeat. The hard and mighty lie beneath the ground, while the tender and weak dance on the breeze above. Is the action of nature not unlike drawing a bow? What is higher is pulled down, and what is lower is raised up. What is taller is shortened, and what is thinner is broadened. Nature's motion decreases those who have more than they need, and increases those who need more than they have. It is not so with man. Man decreases those who need more than they have, and increases those who have more than they need. To give away what you do not need is to follow the way. So the sage gives without expectation, accomplishes without claiming credit, and has no desire for ostentation. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, yet nothing can better overcome the hard and strong, for they can neither control nor do away with it. The soft overcomes the hard, the yielding overcomes the strong. Every person knows this, but no one can practice it. Who attends to the people would control the land and grain. Who attends to the state would control the whole world. Truth is easily hidden by rhetoric. When conflict is reconciled, some hard feelings remain. This is dangerous. The sage accepts less than is due, and does not blame or punish, for harmony seeks agreement where justice seeks payment. The ancients said, nature is impartial, therefore it serves those who serve all. Let your community be small, with only a few people. Keep tools in abundance, but do not depend upon them. Appreciate your life, and be content with your home. Sail boats and ride horses, but don't go too far. Keep weapons and armor, but do not employ them. Let everyone read and write, eat well and make beautiful things. Live peacefully and delight in your own society. Dwell within cock-crow of your neighbors, but maintain your independence from them. Honest people use no rhetoric. Rhetoric is not honesty. Enlightened people are not cultured. Culture is not enlightenment. Content people are not rich. Riches are not contentment. So the sage does not serve himself. The more he does for others, the more he is satisfied. The more he gives, the more he receives. Nature flourishes at the expense of no one, so the sage benefits all men, and contends with none. And that's not all. Our experts and regular viewers respond to all comments. Also check if you forgot to subscribe and set your bell to receive notifications about new audiobooks and other useful self-development materials that we release regularly. Join in the discussions, don't forget to give likes and, if possible and inspired, support the development of the channel financially. All useful links will be in the description and the first attached comment. Goodness, love and wisdom to all. And now move on to watch the next part of the video at the links below, or choose something from the playlists of the channel and those you see on the screen.